it's Dr. Karen with this week's Hot Topic. Make sure you like this video, follow us on social media, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss another hot topic. So today I want to talk to you about compensation, and I'm not necessarily talking about the money compensation, but the psychological compensation. So compensation is a psychological defense strategy where somebody tries to cover up an inadequacy in one area and then overindulgence in another. So this psychological strategy allows people to disguise inadequacies, frustrations, stressors, and urges by directing energy towards excelling or achieving in another area of life. Compensation can manifest itself in a few different ways, so it can either be over or under compensation. So overcompensation occurs when people overachieve in one area to make up for shortcomings in another aspect of life. So this typically leads to wanting power, dominance, self-esteem, and self-devaluation, and usually occurs consciously. So in other instances, overcompensation might actually occur unconsciously. So you might not even realize that you have these hidden feelings of inadequacy that leads you to compensate in other areas. So a well-known example of failing over compensation is usually somebody who's going through a midlife crisis. It's typically males. We all know what that male looks like, but you get the picture. So undercompensation, on the other hand, can happen when people deal with such shortcomings by becoming overly dependent on others. So this typically leads to a lack of courage and a fear of for life. So you know that common term when a person just needs to cut the cord from their parents or they need to cut the cord from their child? That is undercompensation. So even though overcompensation works to overshadow these inadequacies and highlights achievements, overcompensations can actually prove to be very detrimental to someone's psyche. So how? Because this defense mechanism, like I've said before, could be undertaken with the objective of dominating and controlling others and exerting one's superiority over them, it's not necessarily driven by the objective of excelling to feel good about themselves. It's more or less about putting other people down. So overcompensation is considered a primarily negative technique because it prevents a person from really addressing the main issues from which those feelings that they have of the inferiority in themselves and the inadequacies and really where that's all coming from. So this is typically true if they usually choose to excel in a different area altogether. So I have 7 signs that you might be struggling with compensation or have this inferiority complex. So number 1 is you're a perfectionist. Number 2, you're most comfortable fading into the background for existence. You might feel more comfortable avoiding or putting yourself out there in social situations because you just really fear rejection. Number 3 is you're very sensitive to criticism of any kind. So any kind of critique or criticism stays with you for a really long time. You kind of dwell on it. You don't respond very kindly to teasing or jokes made at your expense. And if you ever feel disrespected, sometimes you act out with aggression and you want to try and intimidate others and decrease your feelings for being attacked. Number 4, you have a tendency to find fault in others. Number 5, you only feel good about yourself when you think you're doing better than other people. So you're super competitive and way over the top competitive. Number 6, you don't believe it when people compliment you because you're always worried about oh, what's their hidden motive. And number 7, you're quick to assume the worst. So those are kind of 7 kind of red flags if you're a little concerned that you might be compensating in one area or the other, because again, I said it is either conscious or subconscious, and you may not necessarily even know that you have this issue. But good news is the first step is realizing that you have some of these issues and addressing them and really realizing where all this stuff is coming from. So if you find that you probably are fitting one of these, or you're like, this sounds familiar with what I do when I'm in social settings, or anything else that makes you uncomfortable, just knowing that this is a potential issue that you can work on and you can fix and you can learn and grow from it is a great thing. But yeah, so hopefully you've kind of learned, or you can pick out certain people that you're like, I wonder. So hopefully you are not suffering or having issues with overcompensation or undercompensation, but just know that if you are, there are things that you can do and be aware of, and you can make for a healthier, happier psyche and lifestyle. So that's all I have for you guys this week. I will see you guys next time.